Okay, so now let's talk about the app side of the software. The app is the Django-based application that is used to interact with the on-device database, host the device UI, and expose the endpoints for accessing the device's API. So the first place we want to start with this is probably in views. These are where a lot of these endpoints are defined. So getting the dashboard view is pretty important because it'll take the dashboard template and render it. But one cool thing that Django will do with templates is it will be able to pass a response parameter, a response dictionary into the template. So we'll actually have access to these variables from our Django template. So if we open up template/dashboard, we can see after we have all these JavaScript functions, let's not worry about that yet. We can see that when we get to our HTML, we have these template variables, and they're the same ones that have been passed from the view. So this just makes standing up local templated UIs really quick and easy to do. So when you're exposing just basic functionality on the device side of things, the templating can be quite a useful tool. The next thing that we should look at is probably the URLs, just so you understand like how things are hitting the specific view. So we have this done via the router. Basically, a device route is registered, and whenever a request comes in and hits this endpoint, it will call this view function. There's also this convenient name, this base name, that is useful for calling this endpoint without having to actually call the name of the endpoint in case the endpoint name changes. It's more, think of this as just like a variable to call this endpoint. And this is just defining it for all of the different URL patterns and whatnot. So if you want to dig into why things are routed the specific way that they are, here's a good point to look into. The next thing that we should check out is the settings.py. This is where we specify which apps have been installed, what middleware is connected, our templating, our database connections, log levels, set up the logging, time zone, etc. Just a lot of app settings, as the name implies. The other thing that's really interesting with Django is you have these models. So with models, this is really what's creating the tables inside of your database. So we have a state model, and when we're running the software, we can go into a developer mode and look at these actual tables inside the Postgres database that are created there by how these models are defined. So we have models for state, events, environments, device configs, different setups, variables, etc. And this really is just to create a seamless way to communicate with our database from Python. Yeah, I guess outside of that, the application isn't very complicated. It's fairly standard Django. So if you're first time to Django, I recommend just doing the Mozilla tutorial, and it's really great. So that'll let you familiarize yourself with the app side of things, and then just try to make a new template and add something to the app. And at that point, you'll probably be pretty familiar with it and can develop on your own from there. So I think that's where I'll end this video. It's a nice and short one.